On Earth podcast with your host, Jake Weaver. Engineered by Cedric Swan. Hey, everybody. We are back with another episode of Midnight on Earth. I'm your host, Jake Weaver, and we are here to bring you more knowledge, more light, and more love. Well, speaking of love, we have one of the most loving people I've ever met in my life on the show. An incredible human being. We have Cappy Franti here. And he's a musician. He's an artist. He has so much going on. He's a teacher now. He's teaching yoga. Incredible human being. We're going to talk to him in just a second. But first, I need you to do something for me. Follow me on Instagram at midnight_on_earth. That is the address. You can follow me there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you go to get your podcasts. Click that button that connects us so you know exactly what is going on when it happens. When people like Cappy Franti come on the show, you get a notification on your device or whatever. Perhaps you're listening to this in the future. You get the notification to your brain chip. I don't know, but that happens. Hopefully it still happens. Hopefully I'm still here. And lastly, please tell a friend, tell someone that you know that loves these type of podcasts, that loves the topics that we cover. Bring them here. You know them. They're your friends, your family, your coworkers. Again, bring them here. midnightonearth.com. Okay, so we're just about to talk to Cappy. You're going to love this guy. He's amazing. But I got to read his bio. So here we go. Cappy Franti is a musician, artist, and yoga teacher. While on the path blazing his own trail, he is the son of legendary musician Michael Franti, who was one of the main forces advancing the conscious music movement in both the underground and mainstream worlds. Cappy's most recent musical works, including Brand New Dimension and Whole Nother Level, showcase his multidimensional lyrical ability in addition to integrating the most current sounds. And he's here with us right now. Hello, Cappy. How are you, my friend?
What's up? What's up, Jake?
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm very happy to introduce you to our audience of 165 countries now. So there you go.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, I love your intro music, man. I felt like I was at a rave with Mulder and Scully from the X-Files.
You know, it's the future. We're trying to capture a lot of different vibes. And that seems to speak to the topics, to the energy, to the bandwidth of things that we cover on the show. Yes, I love it as well. That was actually composed by Cedric Swan and myself. We worked together on that, and I just kind of said, hey, let's do a lo-fi, X-File-y kind of with a little bit up-tempo, like totally abstract terms. And that's kind of what he came up with. So there you go.
Yep. And me and Cedric have a song coming out pretty soon, Brand New Dimension. So
yes,
that's super dope. I can't wait for everybody to hear that.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. So, okay. So you're here. Look, Cappy, I want to know about your life. You're going to tell us about your life, your music, everything. I want to know your story. I want to know how you got to this point in your life. So tell me, you're growing up, you're the son of a musician who's trying very hard in his life at that stage of his life to be successful. What was that like? Tell me about that.
Wow. Well, my dad was on, as far as for me, my dad was on the road a lot. I spent a lot of time in the studio with him. You know, when he was on the road, I was usually with my mom. So, but he did take me on like 4 or 5 tours. And I was the water and towel technician. So I'd bring the water and towels to the stage, and I would be up on the bus, you know, playing dominoes till 3 or 4 in the morning, and you know, just having a blast. And I went to Italy, which was incredible, and Australia, and all across the United States. So I got some cool touring. But growing up, I was never really like getting involved in the music aspect of it, you know. And I was always, you know, wanting to find my own identity and not be, you know, everybody be like, "Oh, aren't you going to do music or whatever?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm into my own thing." I was really more into visual art. And so that was really my thing for a long time growing up. But yeah, it was amazing. I got to see, you know, some different parts of the world and be in the studio and see my dad making a lot of the albums, and, you know, so
I'm sure that was amazing. But what was it like being around the energy of not just creative people, but conscious people? Because your dad's music does kind of show up in a lot of different places. He had a lot of different projects over the years, but there was always this undertone of like positivity, consciousness, and just intelligence. And you were growing up around that. Like, what was it like to have that type of energy around you?
That definitely informed the way I feel about the world a lot. Up to this day. I mean, my dad made a song back in, I think it was either the early 2000s or the 90s, called "Do You Love?" And it's all about, and it says like, "It's not about who you love, nah, nah. See, it's all about do you love, do you love, do you love?" And that song was about basically that everyone has the right to love whoever they want to love, and whatever you do in your bedroom is like no one else's business to tell you what to do or not. Like, as long as obviously it's with, you know, 2 adults that are in love with each other. Like, and so it's really kind of like speaking to gay rights, but in a more personal way. And my aunt is gay, and I was always growing up around, and I think there was somebody on that album that sang who was transsexual also. And so I grew up, you know, very, in a way of like acceptance and love to all kinds of people, and like that the differences are what really makes us beautiful, you know? And, so that kind of consciousness is something that still has a big impact on me. And I feel like my dad, especially in the hip hop world, was ahead of the times in a lot of ways in that way.
Oh, definitely. There's no doubt. And that's the thing. So in a way, you were more advanced growing up, because for a lot of people, for millions of people around the world that grew up maybe in a more constricted situation, or perhaps a more oppressive situation, just how people thought about things in the family life and the paradigm they lived in, you were kind of living in that cutting edge area because, you know, your family, your dad, he was blazing a trail, and you were along with that with a developing mind and spirit, which is kind of cool because you got the best information right at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when I was growing up, it was still like, you know, going to school, there was a lot of kids that would, you know, "Oh, you're gay," or this or that. That was still a thing, you know, and so I always felt like like, I would always say something when I heard people say that, because I had grown up with an aunt who's gay, and I had been around my dad, making songs like that one. And so it definitely, influenced me, instead of just going with the crowd or going with what everybody was saying, to kind of be an individual and stand up for what I really feel, and what I know. And I was blessed. And, like a lot of people, it's not their fault how they feel. It's how they've been raised. And so I definitely feel really blessed to have been raised in that kind of environment,
Yes. It's a loving environment. It was love. It was that love energy.
Yeah. And my dad's father is Black and his mom is white. And my mom is white and my dad is obviously mixed. So, growing up, also in the Bay Area, which is very, multicultural and racially mixed, and, all in my classes growing up in elementary and middle school, there's every different race of kid and different type of kid. And, it's really a blessing, to grow up in these times that I have. But it kind of scares me that we're kind of moving backwards. I feel like, at least politically right now, there's like a pushback against that way of life, So I'm hoping with my music to continue to spread that message of love and acceptance and unity, and keep pushing us forward as far as letting people be who they want to be. And like, I think the most important thing is, not somebody's race or sexual preference, or if they want to identify as a man or woman, but the most important thing is that person happy in their life? Are they feeling good? Are they loved? Are they taken care of? Do they have a house? Do they have food to eat? And I think those are the things that we should focus on, is how we can nurture people, how we can be there for people and let people be their full, true expression. And the interesting thing is like that, a lot of people say like, America, land of the free, and like, but then when people do really want to be free about who their sexual partner is, or what their gender is expression, or what, who they want to love, if they want to be in a relationship with somebody in a different race, then a lot of times those same people that say land of the free are, trying to control those people and put those people down. And so that's something that I believe strongly in, is that we should all have freedom to be who we want to be without repression or oppression.
Of course. I mean, that is the true human experience. That's the loving experience. If we're living in a high frequency as humans, then we're going to be focused on love, and all of that stuff falls by the wayside. Like, there's no judgment on that level with infinite love, if you can really perceive it that way.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I think it's also important to meet people where they're at, because, and give people space and room to grow, because a lot of people grew up in environments where, maybe their parent would beat them if they thought a certain way, or if they acted a certain way, or, and maybe they internalized. I'm just throwing things out. That's
a very real scenario that's been expressed by many people over the years. That definitely happened.
In a different situation, and internalized different things growing up. And so, we're all learning. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect either. We're all growing and learning and changing, and we all need that space, I think, to be able to, make mistakes and still, and be able to grow without being completely like, this person is just completely horrible because they made one mistake type thing,
Yes, very much so. And I mean, but did you ever feel though in your life, Cappy, that you had a calling? Did you feel that extra energy when you were younger, that maybe that you were special in that way?
In what way do you mean?
Like, because you're such a high frequency person, like, when I talk to you and I'm around you, you're a very loving guy. So it seems like almost you were born that way, which would mean to me that you came into this world as a high frequency being. So did you ever feel a spiritual calling, like you were destined for something big in your life when you were younger? Did you ever pick up on those things?
Yeah, I feel like when I was young, I was just always kind of just living my life, having my friends and doing my thing. I think as I've gotten older, I've felt that more, especially, I'm 35 now, like coming into adulthood and everything. I feel more of a responsibility to uphold the values in the world that I want to see and to be a voice for that. And to, it's like, if we're not going to do it, then who is, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I know that feeling.
Like when you're a kid, you're just doing your thing and you're having fun and, but then as you step into, okay, we are now kind of in the leadership role of the planet, where like, the younger generations look up to us in a certain way. And so I do kind of, now more feel that like, I want to put music and art and energy and events into the world that will create healing and create change and help the world to come together, because there's a lot of forces of people that are, just out to try to divide people and then make a profit off that,
Yes.
So
they feed off that.
I do feel that now. And I do think also that everyone has a purpose, and everybody has a higher calling. And so yeah, sorry to cut you off there.
No, Cappy, it's totally fine. We're just having an incredible conversation. It's just that it just seems like, yes, we're all here for a purpose, but there are the leaders. There are the people that were sent here to activate other humans in their own way, for whatever that means. I actually don't really know what that means, but I just know that it seems that way for the leadership humans that are here right now.
Yeah, I think definitely, like if you were blessed to grow up in a way where you're able to have that voice and have an impact, then I think that, it is like a responsibility to speak up and use that voice and use that platform. And so, yeah, I mean, being the son of, my dad and growing up in the environment that I did, I do have access to opportunities that other people might not have, So I do feel that in a way. And I feel that, everybody has their purpose and my purpose is kind of driven through creativity, through music and self-expression and art, and also through yoga and meditation and philosophy of that. So,
but when you were younger though, like you said earlier, you really did not want to do music. You wanted to be an artist and you stepped into the world of graffiti art. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, man, graffiti was just such a magical world for me when I was coming into my early teens. And we moved to the city, started going to high school in San Francisco. And I started noticing tags around the city, and it was just so cool to me that, like, the mystery of it, you see these people's art all over the city and you're like, wow, who is that? Who's doing this? And it was kind of like, it was magical to me, like, and these things just appear, like, beautiful piece of art just appears on the wall. And the day before it wasn't there. And the person, they're not asking for money for it. They're not even trying to take credit for it. It's just like a pure offering, That's how I saw it. And I know that for a lot of people, they see it as like a criminal activity or, a bad thing. But for me, I felt like it's a part of the culture of being in a city. Every city has graffiti art, and it was a part of growing up and a part of, like, I think we all want to be seen in our environment. And, companies can pay millions of dollars to be seen and put a billboard up, or to buy this big building, or to have their name embossed on the outside of wherever. And I think, as youth growing up in the city, like, we wanted to see something of us in the city reflected, And so that was our thing, was putting art out there. And and so, yeah, it was, a lot of people that, started out tagging or doing graffiti or whatever have ended up becoming incredible artists and incredible human beings. And so, yeah, it was, and then just the aspect of, going out late at night with your friends and the bonding of it. And so I got in trouble quite a few times,
Okay.
Ended up in jail a few times, and
in jail. Did you just say in jail? Like, for how long? Like the night? Like they throw you in the drunk tank or something, or what happens there?
Oh, like for like the weekend.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah. So you get arrested on a Friday. You end up. They can't see you in the court. The courts can't open till Monday, so you end up there over the weekend. But one thing that also is interesting about it is, like, you see a different side of life, being out late at night, you see more of, people that are struggling, or people that are, going through things on the streets, or just different interesting characters and cool people you meet. And so it just gives you a different kind of perspective on things,
Oh, definitely. And how far did you go with it? I mean, it seems like you were out there for years. Did you get really good? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I was really into it, probably into my early 20s. I moved to New York, and when I was in New York, I went full time with it. I actually lived in a library for 6 months, and pretty much just slept and drank graffiti, so to speak, or whatever. And basically I would just be out every night, and then during the day I would be just sketching and drawing all day, every day. So yeah, I kind of did a whole wild adventure in New York, and so, oh yeah, and I saw this movie, Style Wars. That was another big thing. Style Wars. It was a movie about Style Wars. It was a movie about New York graffiti in the 80s, a documentary, and that was really, really influential to me. But yeah, I mean, the people that I met are still some of my best friends to this day, and I mean, it takes a really certain special type of person to want to risk being in jail, risk, so much different stuff, and not even to get paid for it, to go out and just produce this artwork for free, which I think is, you just have to have a really strong heart for that.
I've seen incredible artistic pieces that are masterpiece level with graffiti art. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah,
So you moved away from that, though. At some point in your life, you decided to kind of move away and get back into music. Tell me about that phase of your life.
Yeah. So I made a friend. I went out to New York and I made a friend, this guy, LC. And he started putting on music festivals. And so I was doing the art for the music festivals. So we made this big thing called like the graffiti maze. And it was like a big maze made out of plywood where we had graffiti pieces painted all on the inside. And then we also had paint, like not spray paint, but just regular paint for everyone at the festival to paint the walls of the maze. And so there was, kids and parents painting like murals together that they created from their imagination, and all kinds of people just got together and whatever idea they wanted to paint on the walls of the maze, they did. And so you'd walk through, and then in every different room there'd be a different piece that you'd see, and so that was really cool. And I did that for a while, and we did a few different music festivals together. And then through being around music, through being in that scene and just kind of like being around a lot of the different artists backstage, since I was part of putting on the festival and everything and promoting it, just started getting into, different freestyle sessions, and then eventually, meeting different producers and getting in the studio, and it just kind of naturally just happened, So, so that was how that kind of came about.
So that activated your inner musician. Like you were around it, you were in the studios, you kind of went away from it for a while, but it came back into your life. It just happened. It seemed like, so you were naturally meant to do that. You just had to do it your own way, it seems like.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. And finding, having like close friends that were into writing lyrics and into writing stuff that had a message and a meaning. So yeah, like I was around, like for example, like KRS-One was at a couple of those music festivals. This artist named Radioactive, who was used to be a member of Spearhead, a beatboxer. Oh yeah, okay. Now that I think about it, so before I even started rapping, I really started beatboxing.
Oh really? Okay.
So now that I'm remembering, LC was really into rapping, and so I would always beatbox. And I had always thought, what Radioactive did was super cool.
Oh, definitely.
With beatboxing. And so I had been around it, and I was like, man, beatboxing is the coolest thing, man. So I just started getting into beatboxing all the time before I was even writing. That was my first like musical love really was beatboxing.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And then from there, eventually I ended up in the studio, and my friend was there. My friend LC was there recording, and we were with this other guy, Tony, DJ Sat in Philly. And, they were playing beats and stuff. And so I was like, well, you know what, let me start writing something, and I just got inspired and it kind of just developed from there. So.
Wow. Well, I mean, your lyrics are amazing. Did you notice right away that you had a talent for writing really special and powerful lyrics?
I did. Yeah. I did feel that, like, it seemed like when I was putting words together and putting things together, like I just loved it and I wanted to keep doing it. And things, I found it just so cool how things can fit together and the whole message and everything too. So,
well, you're really good at distilling high frequency concepts, like really big concepts, down to just a verse. And then in that verse, you grasp this really powerful thing that you're trying to say as you flow through the song. I feel like that's really one of your greatest superpowers, you could say.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do, is to let people groove to the music and then turn them on to some different ways of looking at things, or open up their minds to some different concepts, you know?
Well, it's just very deep what you tap into. And it seems like as a human being with a successful musical parent, you would want to do things on your own. And it seems like your strategy has been to just do it without any help, like really just doing it as a grassroots build from square zero experience.
Yeah. 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 You know, it's interesting. I've been making music for the love of it, but I haven't really so far, haven't considered it like, okay, this is my thing. I need to go all in and blow up with this. It's kind of been just kind of like a labor of love type of thing, you know? I have a lot of songs that I haven't released that I'm really excited about that are coming out soon, but it's what I love, you know?
Well, it seems like right now is the stage, the point where you're launching your musical career. You're going all in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It is. Definitely. So that's the next place I'm going to have to dive in fully.
Yes.
And swim in the beautiful musical ocean.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have the talent for it. So if you make the choice and you put your energy into that, it'll happen. There's no doubt. It's just about you making the choice, I think, is really what is the foundation of the success.
Yeah, definitely.
But you also communicated to me once we talked about this, that you wanted to expand the concert experience and have teachings like the yoga teachings that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've started putting on events in that are a combination of Yoga Nidra and sound healing. And those have been really powerful, and I'm really excited to continue with those and bring that experience to music festivals and to a bigger audience. So
Yoga Nidra.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's enlighten people about Yoga Nidra, because I don't really know about Yoga Nidra. I know about yoga. I know a little bit about Yoga Nidra because I did some research prior to this episode. But Cappy, help us, enlighten us, tell us about Yoga Nidra.
So Nidra means sleep, and yoga means union. And Yoga Nidra is the union of sleep with awareness. So in Yoga Nidra, you're lying on your back and you want to be as comfortable as possible, you know? And you're guided through awareness into the different stages and through the different stages of sleep, but you remain aware. And so these are basically like every night when you go to sleep, we don't realize it most of the time, but we all enter in different phases of sleep. And so as you're starting to drift off, you go into what's known as the alpha brainwave state. And that's kind of where you're in between sleep and wake. And, you know, you might notice it sometimes, like if you get kind of startled awake when you're starting to go to sleep, where there's kind of maybe some stories that are dreamlike that are playing out in your mind, or some different words or whatnot. And so you don't just instantly fall into the deepest state of sleep. There's different stages that you go through. And so these stages are super powerful, different states of consciousness. And the ancient yogis discovered that as you're going into these different states of consciousness, you can have access to your subconscious mind as well as your energy body. And when you can enter that with awareness, you can make profound healing changes to your psyche and to your energy body. in those states of consciousness.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. But is it because as you're drifting off into sleep, in a way, you're having an out-of-body experience, like your consciousness itself is resting, so it's shifting out of the physical vehicle and then going into this intermediary state? Is that how you think that we're able to do that?
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, sleep is the only time where you are completely, your consciousness is like completely separated from your body, pretty much. Like, you know, when you're dreaming, you're not feeling your physical body. You're in the dream world, you know, and the thing that really like hit me when I started studying it was that, you know, we all like, there's like affirmations and intentions that we have that we want to make a change in our lives. So you might say like, I want to quit smoking, you know, or whatever the change is. I want to stop being so angry, or whatever the change is. And when you say that normally during your waking state, it only enters your conscious mind, and the conscious mind is really controlled by the subconscious. And so that's why, you know, you could say over and over, you know, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, but your actions keep showing something different because there's a deeper root to your behavior. And so when you enter into Yoga Nidra, in the alpha and delta brainwave states, you can actually access that deeper layer of consciousness. And once you're there, you can take those same intentions and plant them like a seed. They call it a sankalpa. And that is like a seed that you plant in the soil of your, so to speak, of your subconscious mind. And in that soil, it can grow and sprout and come to life. So you can make really deep and lasting changes to your life and to your behavior through that.
Wow.
So that was what really got me, because, you know, once you're aware and you're in those states where you're actually accessing the subconscious mind, you can actually reprogram yourself in that state.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, several prosperity teachers and other psychology teachers talk about how you can reprogram yourself by accessing your subconscious mind, but they use different techniques. It seems like these Yoga Nidra techniques have been around for far longer. How far back do they go? Where does the Yoga Nidra begin?
So it's first mentioned in the Upanishads, and I have to look back at my just one second here to tell you exactly the date.
Well, we know the Upanishads are at least 15,000 years old and probably stretch back even farther.
Yeah. So it goes way, way back. And the roots of it, though, are where it started to become a teaching and a practice are in Tantra. And Tantra was a movement that took, basically, instead of saying like, we're going to find God through completely cutting ourselves off from this dense physical world and just like transcending and like relinquish all desires, kind of live like an ascetic life as the means to, get to higher states of consciousness and union with the divine. And so Tantra kind of looked at it as everything in this physical world that manifests is an expression of the divine. And so we can actually access the divine through our physical bodies and through this world. And so like the actual yoga asana poses is like, connecting with your breath and connecting with your body in a way that brings you to the divine. And so Yoga Nidra is in that same tradition where we're actually moving the awareness through the body in the guided, it's like a guided meditation where first we start off with different breathing exercises, because the breath is a way to quiet the mind. And so once you connect with your breath, you can still the mind. And when you still the mind, you free up the prana. And the prana is the healing energy, the healing divine energy that flows in all our bodies. But sometimes it can be constricted and not allowed to fully flow and go everywhere that it needs to go when your mind is constantly taking up so much energy. So we use different breathing exercises to help quiet the mind, and then we get into moving our awareness to different parts of the body and to different sensations. And this is basically awareness is so powerful. It's incredible how powerful just being aware of something is. Like,
without the monkey mind kind of chattering away, defining things. Exactly.
So like, for example, when we say, feel energy flowing into your right leg, or become aware of your right leg, and just bring your awareness there. And when you bring your awareness there, it sends a signal back to your mind that once you become aware of it, that it's okay for that part of the body to fully relax. Because we hold on to a lot of subconscious tension that until the mind realizes, oh wow, I'm holding a little bit there. It's something that happens on a subconscious level, but when you bring your awareness there, it actually allows it to fully release. And so it's called a body scan. You move your awareness through the different parts of the body, and that allows the body to fully relax and let go.
Okay, so this is what you're talking about here is specifically the Yoga Nidra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you have these experiences, and it's during, you said, that dream state, are those like what you talked about, the poses and doing those things, is that what puts you in that state?
So basically you'd in Yoga Nidra, you're lying on your back, and you might have a bolster or something under your knees, something under your head to make you really comfortable, something even under your wrists and hands, and you want to just get as comfortable as possible. And then, for example, there's something called the So-hum breathing technique, where as you inhale, you imagine the energy flowing up from the bottom of your spine all the way up to the crown of your head. And then as you exhale, you feel the energy moving down from the crown of your head all the way down to the bottom of your spine. And you continue that awareness and that breath going. And as you're doing that practice, as you inhale, you say mentally to yourself, internally, you say to yourself the sound of so. And then as you feel the energy moving down and as you exhale and feel the energy moving down from the crown of your head to to your pelvis or the bottom of your spine, then you would say to yourself, hum. And so you're working with your energy body and with moving, becoming aware of this energy through the breath. And as that happens, you, like, as we were talking about, you begin to quiet the mind and you begin to sink down into a deeper state of consciousness and a deeper state of relaxation. And then we would go into an exercise where you feel, where your awareness is directed to different parts of your body. So feel your feet heavy like lead, sinking. Feel your calves heavy, sinking into the floor. Feel your knees heavy, sinking into the floor. So this is just, it wouldn't be that quick,
right?
And, but
it gets you to focus on that.
And as you're feeling that focus, you can literally feel like, you can feel the change as you bring your awareness and you invoke that heaviness and that feeling. You can feel those muscles relax in a different level, and you're accessing your energy body at that point. And so as we go through the whole body, eventually you get to a point where you become so relaxed that you let go of the physical body and you enter into the energy body and into one of the stages of sleep.
But fully conscious, you're saying? But
you remain aware and fully conscious. Exactly.
So do you think any of these techniques, especially as it gets deeper, do you think they somehow activate the DMT that's in the human brain that is sometimes released in the dream state? Could it be that it's
definitely
like a hack, like in a way?
Yep. Definitely. No, I mean, even in the Upanishads, they say that there's basically, like, in the fourth deepest state of consciousness, there's kind of like a secret door, so to speak, where you can access a state of consciousness for a certain amount of time that's like enlightenment, So you become completely the witness or the presence, which is so to answer your question, I definitely I think that that you can access states of consciousness that are where DMT could be released, and a lot of different beneficial, like serotonin is definitely released. They've studied that. Dopamine is definitely released. There's been studies on this, and a lot of different beneficial brain chemicals are released as you go into these different states of consciousness.
So the fourth is the highest, and the one is the entry point. We were just talking about that, the first state. So then what's 2 and 3?
So you have your physical body, which is, they call them different, Maya Kosh is the word for your different bodies, which means, Maya Kosh means like house, different house, but it also means illusions. So it's kind of a weird concept, but or weird to our minds, but basically, like, essentially, like, all of these different bodies are ultimately part of an illusion, because it's all everything except the pure source of which you are is everything else is in a state of change. So everything that is in a state of change that is transitory is ultimately illusory, So in that sense, it's an illusion, although it actually has reality to it. But so there's the physical body. Then the next level is the energy body. Then the third level from there is what they call the wisdom body, which is the intuition. And then the fourth level is what they call the bliss body. And at the bliss body, you're basically, there's a very thin layer between you and source. You're basically almost to source, you know, but it's there's still a bit of you that is, you know, that is not completely into source.
Interesting.
So there's like a kind of like a thought exercise that I've been taught which is like, if you imagine yourself sitting on a beach somewhere and you're watching a boat float by in the ocean, and you see the boat slowly come into view, and then you slowly see it fade out of your view and disappear into the distance. And so can you see that if you can see the boat come, be present, there's a time before the boat, there's a time with the boat, and then after the boat, and see it leave, that then you cannot be the boat if you can see it moving through. And so it's the same thing with yourself. If you imagine yourself, your body, how you looked and how you were at a young age, and then you see that yourself in, you know, your teens, and then your 20s, and then up to now, wherever you are, all those different phases. If you can see that vehicle changing, then can you see how you cannot be the vehicle itself? So you are the observer. There's a part of you that is the witness, that is the eternal witness, is what they refer to it as. And so in Yoga Nidra, you can get to a stage where you can rest fully as the witness without the attachments to your name, your body, your this, your that, your all of these different things that we kind of create as our identity or as ourself, or that we attach onto. You can fully, when you fully relax, you can fully let go of that. And it's like, it's kind of like imagining, you know, the blue sky. There's, you know, airplanes and balloons and hot weather balloons, there's rainbows and all these things that come into the sky. But eventually what you actually are is not all those things that pass through the sky. You are the sky itself. And so when
That's
you
beautiful.
thank you. Yeah. So I think so too. So, cut me off if I'm talking too long.
No. I'm sorry. You're doing amazing. I was just listening to you. It all sounds so amazing.
Oh, great. Yeah. So yeah, basically when you get into that deepest state of letting go, you become like the sky again, instead of identifying with all these things that are moving through, that are beautiful and amazing, and all these different things that happen to us in our lives that are incredible. And, you know, like your body is an amazing thing. It's not to reject the body or reject any of these things that you are, but to also be able to move into that space of recognizing that ultimately all these things that we identify aren't the eternal you. It's just something that is passing through that you can enjoy, but you don't have to. But when we start to hold on to these different things that are just passing through, then it creates suffering, you know? Definitely.
And tell me about your experiences though, Cappy. Like, you've been studying this now and now you're teaching it. So you must have hit some of these states of consciousness. Tell me about your peak experiences with these.
I've actually had a lot of experiences of energy blocks being dissolved.
Oh, okay. Energy blocks being dissolved.
Yeah. So, there's, depending on, we have different experiences in our life where we might have gotten hurt or had some trauma that happens, and then we hold on to that, or you might hold on to that as a belief. Like somebody could have just said to you in passing when you were a kid, "Oh, you're no good," or you can't do that or whatever. And then this is just an example. And then instead of letting that thing just pass through and breeze on through, sometimes we hold on to that. Or there could be painful things that happen to us that instead of being able to move through, you hold on to it. And so I've experienced energetically, like, for example, having a lot of back pain in one part of my back, and getting into the deep, deep state of relaxation, and then putting the intention, I allow my body to make a profound healing shift at this time. And then focusing my awareness at the point between the eyebrows, and sending that intention there, and actually feeling my whole body. I don't want to scare anybody like this. Don't necessarily, but feeling my body actually shake, like, and it could happen, I'm not saying that it won't or it will, but it wasn't a scary experience. It was just like a feeling of something moving out or moving through, that needed to go, and kind of like a realignment type feeling. And it wasn't like immediately, like I didn't feel the back pain anymore. Like I got up in like that second, but like basically like the next day it was gone, and I had it for like a couple weeks type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of healing that happens when you get into the subconscious level, and that shaking that you're talking about, that's also something that shows up in shamanism. When you're going into deep shamanic states or incredibly deep meditative states, you have these seizure-like symptoms, like your body's shaking because you're that removed from the physical, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of different ways to interpret all of this stuff, and how I've heard it interpreted is what what my explanation that I gave was, a moving of an energy blockage that is being released. But
yeah, I'm sure perhaps that's what's happening in those shamanic states when they're healing people. They just do it in a completely different way. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I think there's so many different ways to access these states of healing, and it's a lot of it is about getting out of the way, which and letting your body be able to do what it already does naturally, and letting the energy in your body, like the natural intelligence of your body, work the way that it needs to work, and so Yoga Nidra is one way to do that,
So the energy blocks were removed for you, and then what happened? Did decisions get more clear? Was there opportunities that arose? Like, what do you see as some of the benefits of those energy blocks being removed?
Well, I mean, I started doing, before I taught my first class, I did my first event, I was practicing. I've been practicing a lot, and so through that practice, eventually it led to these events manifesting, just the right people, meeting the right people at the exact right time, who were on the right vibration, meeting these sound healers who were maybe already thinking of doing similar type things. And it just feels like, I guess when you put these intentions and you basically like, when you put the intention in through the third eye, through the third eye chakra, that's called the command. That's like the command center. So you can actually, through that command out into the universe, things that you want to occur, or things that you're intending. And then, magically, or however you want to say it, like the right people just kind of come into your life, And so I've definitely seen it with meeting the right people and finding the right places to put these events on, and then the right people that need to be there to receive the healing showing up also, and it's powerful. And then just things as far as like feeling more peaceful on the day-to-day like level, like the things that I would stress out about or anxietize about or feel like I need to control and grasp and hold on to, they just kind of start to feel a little less like they have a control on me, or they're less charged with so much pulling so much energy from my consciousness,
It's keeping you in that witness state more permanently, it seems like.
Yes, definitely. And and feeling just more balanced energy in my body, and as I move through life, So all those type of things. But yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I mean, that's why I wanted to start teaching it, because immediately, like, I started feeling the results like right away, when I started doing it.
So,
and also,
go ahead.
I also think before Yoga Nidra, I got into Yoga Nidra through meditation. And meditation is also very profound. But I was looking for also a way that, a lot of people have trouble sitting still in meditation and sitting there, and they get pain in their body and they have trouble staying in that place. Whereas like lying down, a lot of people, you don't have the body as a constriction, and you can just allow yourself to fully relax. And so you can enter into these deeper states of relaxation that it could take you years with a meditation practice to be able to achieve. But you can enter into it relatively quickly with a Yoga Nidra practice.
Yeah, I'm actually one of those people. It's very, very hard for me to meditate because I do get pain in my body, in my back, and my legs. Laying down sounds a lot more appealing. And it seems like it would be in a general sense because you're not focused on keeping your body in any position. It's just laying flat.
Yeah, exactly. And with the guidedness of it, that helps you from the guidedness as well as the sound healing aspect of it. For me, those are both tools to help to quiet the mind and help you to tune into, instead of the thinking and doing state, the feeling and being state. And so, for example, like you might be, like your mind could be kind of stirring and, you're thinking of all these things. And even maybe me sometimes giving the Yoga Nidra can help. And of course, your mind is going to wander. Sometimes there's no avoiding that, it just is what it is. But like, let's say then you feel the vibration of the sound healing enter into your body, and that kind of just like brings you kind of out of that overthinking, or you hearing the instruction to, bring your awareness and feel your feet heavy, or feel your legs or your knees or whatever it is. Those kind of things all bring you more into your body and into feeling, instead of being in the monkey mind. And so I think that, not that like I think that they're a good complement to each other. And for people that have trouble sitting in meditation, I think Yoga Nidra offers another way to meditate and still reach those same deep states, and then you can, a lot of times, like, you can get up from a Yoga Nidra and your body is super relaxed and you're already in the super relaxed state. And then you could actually maybe sit and meditate for 5 minutes,
Yeah, because your body's tight, or it's loosened up. It's in that other world, you could say.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not to say that it's better or one cancels out the other, but I think they can complement each other. And then for different people, they can be good, for different things, So
let me ask you this, Cappy. You've studied Yoga Nidra. So are there like Yoga Nidra teachers throughout history that in those states, like in those higher consciousness realms, have they interacted with beings or perhaps received some downloads and then brought back to the third dimension once they came back into their body?
I do not
I
do not know too much about that, to be honest. I know that Amrit Desai is who taught Kamini Desai, that's his daughter, who created the system of Yoga Nidra that I study. Amrit Desai was an extremely skilled and powerful Kundalini master, and he definitely had a lot of wisdom that he shared with the world. That some of it, I'm sure, happened that he received some of it through states of Yoga Nidra and meditation.
You would think that something like that would happen, right? Like when you're in that higher consciousness, but you have your complete awareness and you're going up and you're going up. It seems like something like that could happen.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
You would imagine, maybe.
For me, like, I feel like there's, like, I've felt different energies. Like, for example, like chanting mantras. For example, if you're chanting like a mantra to Shiva or a mantra to Krishna, and you're chanting in that space of collectively chanting with a lot of people, I think that you bring in that divine energy into the space, and that divine energy can create miracles and create healing in your life. And I definitely think that we can, especially through sound vibration, bring in these kind of forms of consciousness or forms of divine energy. And I wish I could give you more about, what I'll have to look into that more about,
Yeah, no, I mean, all of us could look into that more. I'm sure it's possible because I want to learn more about Yoga Nidra. It just seems like it has a lot of potency, like the history, the technique. It seems like it's healed countless people over a very long time.
Oh yeah, it has. And it's something that's just coming back around full circle into, the quote unquote mainstream, or it's starting to get more, a lot of more people aware of it, but it's been practiced for thousands and thousands of years. And there's definitely very, very deep levels to it, and that's one thing that is really appealing to me about it as well, is that you can continue to deepen your practice. As you practice more and more and more things are revealed to you, and more experiences and deeper experiences happen. And so even though, you have a guide in Yoga Nidra, ultimately it's your practice, and you are the one that, as you are guided more and more, you're developing a deeper level of awareness and a deeper move into these different states.
So how long have you been teaching it?
I've only been teaching it for about 6 months now.
Oh, that's amazing. So you're just like really just starting out with it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Very, very, very new to it. Yes.
And then what was the thing that made you feel like you were confident enough and in a place to teach it?
I kind of just did it, to be honest with you. Like it was more like a feeling of like, wow, this is so powerful. I have to share this, And so I just started studying and working and practicing and learning. And I did a course and completed the course. But it wasn't that I felt like, man, like I'm so good at this. It's time for me to like show like to do this. It was more kind of like, wow, this is so powerful that I just feel like I need to share this, even if I'm not perfect yet at doing it. Like, I feel like people will benefit and need this healing type of thing,
Oh, definitely. And you only have to be a couple of steps ahead of someone to teach them. You don't have to know everything. You just have to be a little bit further along. And then that's how you help your fellow humans.
Yeah, exactly. And then the best way to learn is through teaching, So as you keep teaching, like every time it's gotten better, and every time the people that needed to be there for whatever phase it was at were there,
Yes.
And so, but I first got into meditation because I actually completely lost my voice, which is kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, tell us about that, because that happened recently. Right as you were about to launch your musical career, you lost your voice.
Yeah. So I was just about to do this big cruise, Soulshine cruise, and it was going to be a big break for me, or that's how I felt like, man, this is my big break. I've been working on all this music. I'm finally going to get to do this thing, and it's going to take my career to the next level. And so, like about a month and a half before that, I ate some like zucchini boats that my girlfriend had baked in the oven, and they had like some super hot oil like inside and mixed with some like fake veggie meat and cheese, and so on top. And so basically, like, they were probably like, at the core, they were probably like 450 degrees or something like that, So, or maybe less, I don't know. But basically, I bit into one, and when I bit into it, there's like super hot oil, like soup that was underneath, that I didn't realize. And so when I bit into it, and actually my girlfriend told me, like, you should probably wait, like, to eat those. They're pretty hot. And I was like, whatever, no, they're cool. And then I ate it, and then so trying to cool my mouth down because it was burning, I kind of like sucked in. And then when I sucked in a bunch of those chunks of, I like breathed like, and then I sucked in a bunch of those chunks of oil and meat and stuff, and fake meat. And then I started coughing. And when I coughed a bunch, basically, like, I think that this is just my theory. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that the oil basically burned my vocal cords.
Oh, man.
After I coughed a bunch, I coughed, it was scorching hot oil. And so I coughed. And then when I finished coughing, my voice was just like super raspy and hoarse. And then it continued like that. But I was like, man, this is my big break. I got to keep practicing. So I was practicing every day, and just practicing a punch when I probably should have been like resting my vocal cords to heal from whatever happened. But I was actually like pushing them doubly hard. And so then but then it wasn't getting better. And so then literally like 2 days before the performance, I went to see a vocal specialist, and they put a camera down my throat and looked at my vocal cords. And she literally said, "Oh, this is heartbreaking," when she saw the picture. And there was like a huge lump, which they call a polyp, of like scar tissue essentially on my vocal cord. And she was like, you could go sing, you know, and do your thing if it's really that important, but keep in mind that like you might damage your vocal cords by doing that to a point where you could never sing again. So she was like, I would recommend that you don't perform. And so I was like, you know, I was just pretty crushed by that.
I bet.
Because to me, that was like, you know, obviously it's not life threatening, but when it's your dream to do something and you feel like you're on the precipice of your achieving your dream, and then something so fundamental to that, as far as like just being able to actually sing or actually speak the words of what you're trying to say is being, you know, at risk of never being able to work again and not being able to do that. So basically I had to be silent for like 2 weeks. They gave me a big dose of steroids and they're like, don't talk for like 2 weeks. And then for like the rest of the month, like speak like 5 minutes out of the hour, you know, and then eventually you can ramp up to speaking more. And so, yeah, I got super depressed. So like after that time, I was just like, you know, what's happening with my life? Like this thing that I thought that was going to work out is just like totally not working out.
So
and
you
like,
didn't play that show though, it sounds like.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Man.
I stayed back because I didn't, you know, I didn't want to risk not being able to ever do it again.
Oh, of course.
You know?
I mean, you made the right choice, but that's still kind of a bummer.
Yeah. So then, so during that time, somehow I found this book called Mindfulness in Plain English. And I read this one sentence that really changed the way I was looking at things, which said that ultimately getting what you want won't make you any happier than you are right now. And that just seems super counterintuitive, especially living in the West and growing up in this kind of paradigm that we do, which is like all about like, oh, once you get this, you're going to be super happy. Like once I get through college and get this job, man, I'm going to be so happy. Or once I get that car, I'm going to be so happy. Or like once, you know, once this next thing happens, then I'm going to be so happy. Once I achieve this, it's all about, you know, achieving things. When I get that A on that test, man, I'll be so happy, you know? And so that's kind of always how I felt like, oh man, once I, you know, like I'm working toward this music thing. And like, once I get like, start playing big shows and stuff, that's going to make me so happy, you know? And it's not to say that like you shouldn't go after what you want in life, but like, you know, the reason that they give why ultimately it doesn't make you happy is because everything that you get in the outside material world in this existence, eventually you have to let go of it because everything is constantly changing and transforming, and everything is transient in life, you know? So eventually we're going to have to let go of everything. So if you get something and then you're so holding on to that you and your identity and all of your self-worth and all of your happiness is tied up into having that thing, you're going to actually be in suffering even when you have it because you're worried about losing it.
Right. There's that extra energy of attachment that's actually draining. It really just sucks your life force away. I think that's why they develop these techniques to get away from it, because it really does stifle your existence. Yeah,
exactly. So that kind of changed my perspective on things. And I never like reading the book of like about Buddhist philosophy, it kind of like turned everything that I knew from Western society, like on it was kind of like the inverse of it almost, where it was like, wow, like these people, like this philosophy isn't about like all the stuff we can accomplish in the world and like how great that will make us feel. It's actually about like, how can we like let go, like, and find peace, whether we have these things or not, and find a deeper level of happiness and contentment that's not tied to having these things and controlling these things. And so that changed my philosophy on like my voice. I was like, because I kept thinking like, man, this is so like, I just want to have my voice back, man. Like if I could just have my voice back and be singing, like I would be so happy. And I'm just like so depressed about that. And, that was like the whole paradigm I was looking at things with. And so once that happened, I kind of looked at it more like, well, even if I get this, if I'm so tied to my performance and my, me being this great rapper, me being this great singer, if I'm so tied to that for my happiness, if like, let's say I have a bad show and people don't like it or whatever, like that could crush you. Or, so basically instead of like looking so much towards the goal and like of what I wanted to get, I started getting into like, let me just be happy with where I am right now and find happiness within and get into the process of it, of actually healing my voice and like get into the process of where I am right now instead of just thinking about wishing I was somewhere else.
Absolutely. That absolutely makes sense. And eventually your voice did heal. The polyp did dissolve, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Yeah. So eventually, like I worked with a speech therapist a lot. And I did these drills blowing cup bubbles where basically you get a straw and you blow bubbles into a cup and you make a humming sound as you do that. And it puts back like a nice vibration that like massages your vocal cords. And I just got really into doing that. And I would be like driving around town, like blowing bubbles and it's really silly, but I just did it all the time, and eventually through doing that, like it massaged and also I read some research that glutathione, which is this antioxidant that the body naturally produces, but you can get injections of it, and that really helps your body to heal, especially your vocal cords. So, and I read some papers online that were saying that people had used that to cure polyps. So I took, went like 3 or 4 times and got like 1,000 milligram glutathione injections. And then I did the blowing of the bubbles in the cups.
And that worked.
And I went in for surgery. They were still like, they were like, yeah, well, I had the surgery date, but with COVID, I kept having to move it back. And then by the time I actually went into surgery, they were like, we went and looked in there, and like you basically like don't have anything. Like there was like a tiny little something there, and so they did like a little steroid shot when I was under. But basically, they're like, you pretty much were. They didn't have to cut anything out essentially, which would have been really more scary because anytime they're going with a knife on your vocal cord, it's scary. So yeah.
Wow.
And through that whole process, I think that I learned how to breathe better and use my voice in a way that's. I think I became a better singer and a better vocalist through that whole process of damaging my vocal cords. I had to actually learn how to use my voice correctly and do all these things that, so at the end of the day, like the thing that seemed like the worst thing ever and like, such a big setback, I think, from that I found meditation. Yoga Nidra came from that now. And I also learned to, be a better singer and be a better vocalist. So
you're going to be out there fully recharged as you start to play dates around the country and even on the Soul Shine Cruise, which you're booked for this year.
Yep. And, the big festival coming up with, I don't know if you've announced it yet, if I can say anything about it yet, but
the Re-Evolution Festival with String Cheese Incident.
Yep, exactly.
That's going to be incredible in Washington. Yes, you'll definitely find me there, but I want to play some music for our audience that you made. Now, this is prior to the throat issues.
Yeah.
And this is the track Mind Elevation. This is actually a really good showcase, I believe, of your lyrical ability. So I'm really excited that you're allowing us to play this. So, are you ready? You're going to listen to this with us, Cappy?
I'm ready. I'm stoked. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Mind elevation. Here we go, people.
We need mind elevation. Plant some fruit trees and we'll all eat. Let the truth in. Break the concrete. This is one love. Feel the heartbeat. Yeah, we're all one, or else we're falling. We need a garden in each community, so no one's starving. We need unity. We need evolving. To speak truthfully, to solve the problems, it's gonna take you and me. And we can see through the illusion of separation, all the confusion and the complication. We need mind elevation. We need mind elevation. And we can see through the illusion of separation, all the confusion and the complication. We need mind elevation. We need mind elevation. Mind. 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 We need mind elevation. Mind. 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 We need mind elevation. We need mind elevation. We need mind elevation. Great grandfather, what am I to do? Speak with the ancestors, let them guide you through. It's a conscious change we need to bring about. See, the skyscraper could be a greenhouse. Growing lettuce, tomatoes, and even green sprouts. Jalapenos and mangoes, that's what we be about. Cause everybody's gotta eat and we can't leave them out. There's people dying in the streets cause they can't feed their mouth. While people driving fancy cars they never think about. The kids are starving on the streets and trying to work it out. The kids are starving in the streets and trying to work it out. The kids are starving in the streets. And we can see through the illusion of separation, all the confusion and the complication. We need mind elevation. We need mind elevation. And we can see through the illusion of separation, all the confusion and the complication. We need mind elevation. We need mind elevation. Mind. 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 We need mind elevation.
Whoa. Oh my God. It's still fire. I mean, that's a track actually you put out a couple years ago, but it was right before COVID. But it's still fire. And the tracks that are coming now are just as good. And it's going to be your career is so bright. You can just see it. The future's bright for you, bro.
Man. Thank you. Well, with you in my corner, I mean, we can go a long way. So.
I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people in your corner once you get out there.
Yeah, thank you. I
mean, it's pretty obvious.
Really
why would you? Yeah, why would you not want to be in that corner? It's the corner of unity, like you were saying in your song. It's the corner of bringing people together, like raising our frequency. Who wouldn't want to be on board with that? I guess the people that don't, right?
Yeah, I think that everybody wants to be on board with that. It'll take time. People will come around.
Well, I'm honored that you're on the show so early in your career, and we'll be looking back at this episode 5 years, 10 years from now, as your career blossoms into a full-fledged experience. We can talk about how we were here lucky enough to be here at the beginning.
Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jake.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, we talked about so much. You enlightened us about Yoga Nidra. You told us about your life. We have listeners now, like I said, in 165 countries. There's tens of thousands of people coming every week. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with? You know, you've had such an incredible life. You're an intuitively wise person, spiritually wise. It's encoded into you. This is what I noticed about you. The deep spirituality, the deep understanding is encoded into you. Now, I don't know if that's your DNA. I don't know if perhaps you had great grandfathers, perhaps down the Franti family tree, there's all kinds of cool philosophical people. I'm not sure. Or if it's something else, that energetic part of you, the angelic part of you, I'm not really sure. Or my God, the starseed part of you. There's so many different aspects it could be, but it seems like you have this knowledge. So tell our audience something to leave us with.
I guess I would just say that, you know, we're all so different. You know, there's so many different types of people. And, you know, externally, we have every different size and shape and color of person and different beliefs and stuff. But one thing that we all share is, you know, we all feel pain. We all feel sadness when we go through things. If you stab somebody, we both bleed, you know, we all bleed red blood, you know, the same way, you know, and we all need to eat food and you know, we all basically, and we all feel happiness and joy and beauty. And so, to me, it's about, you know, trying to understand how somebody else might feel in their situation. And, even if you don't fully understand, that's okay. Just making an effort to understand where people are coming from and listen to them and love them, you know, wherever they're at, you know, exactly where they're at.
Yes.
Instead of trying to change people, because ultimately we can't change other people. We can just change ourselves.
Right.
But we can listen to other people and make an effort to understand them. And I think when we do that, I think that starts to build a bridge between hearts.
Yes. When you respect people and you love people, I mean, they're way more apt to listen to your perspective, or at least try to understand where you're at where they're at. It's really interesting. It seems fundamental, but, you know, people forget that.
And I think that, you know, like if you took away, I'm not trying to point the finger at any side or the other, but if you took away Fox News, if you took away Democrats, if you took away Republicans, if you took away all these different media outlets and stuff that are constantly feeding us all this stuff about who we are and what we feel and what we believe and putting us in these different sides, if you took all that away and, like, you notice if you don't talk politics with somebody a lot of times, like, you guys will, like, get along, you know, and you'll have, like, similar understandings.
I try to avoid it like the plague as much as possible, to be honest. It's an earth, for me, it's like an earth-based experience. It's like, it's earth. Like I'm trying to get beyond that, right? Like it's something, politics just really turned me off.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like, you know, it's just important to empathize with people and realize that, you know, we all feel these same things: fear, joy, happiness, anger, sadness, and we all have these things. And, like, you don't know exactly what somebody else has gone through to be able to judge them, or even if you don't understand them, you've never been in their shoes. So just try to, I guess, like, I'm working on, like, being more open and understanding and listening more and loving more.
Yes, it's a fantastic message to leave people with. Just love more and respect each other. Look, that's how we build the bridges, like Cappy's saying. That's how we create a place where we all feel protected and respected, like everywhere on the earth. Like, we have to build these bridges. And Cappy, I just want to point out to people that you are going to be teaching Yoga Nidra soon. And if people check your Instagram, you'll be updating that. And if you want to take a class with Cappy and learn more about this, that will be available soon. If you're listening to this episode in the future, then perhaps it's already happening. So check his Instagram.
Definitely. Yeah. I've just done a deeper course of study. So I took a little time off from teaching to deepen my understanding and my teaching, but I'll be back at it soon. So at CappyFranti is my Instagram, and then you can click all my links thing there, and when I am doing events, they'll be there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much for being here, Cappy. It's been an incredible interview. I really appreciate you sharing everything that you did. It's very generous of you to give us so much of your time, and I deeply appreciate it.
I deeply appreciate you, Jake. I love your energy and your positivity, and just how much you've shown belief in me and pushed me to keep going with what I'm doing. So
wow,
you're an amazing person. I really appreciate it.
Wow, thank you, Cappy. Well, everyone, we've had an incredible episode. Check out Cappy's music. Eventually, he'll be teaching Yoga Nidra, but if you're just interested in Yoga Nidra, take the deep dive. And his music's on Spotify, and he'll be updating that with more tracks soon. So just check out all of these things. He's going to be on the Soul Shine Cruise this year, hosted by his father, Michael Franti, and several other bands. And he'll also be at the Re-Evolution Festival in Darrington, Washington, this August, if you're in the Northwest. So go check him out there. And again, Cappy, thank you so much for being here, my friend. We'll definitely have you back on very soon. Cappy, please hold through the outro music.
Okay.
And everyone, we'll see you next week. Midnight on Earth.